Welcome to another edition of Cleaning and Cocktails, you guys. I'm super excited. This is kind of a special edition. As you can see, you may be looking in the background and looking at me with who I have. Where are we, right? We're at the Spartan headquarters here in, I want to say Maumee, Ohio. Maumee, Ohio. Super excited to have the guest that I have today. We kind of switched it up a little bit, and you're going to hear why, and we're going to get into it. But you guys know what the show is about. We bring on guests, primarily cleaning business owners, but in many cases, it's suppliers, manufacturers, technology, software companies, pretty much anybody in the cleaning industry to do what is share experience, share knowledge. So who I have here with me today is I got Jared and Bucky from Spartan, and I have Jason from Pritchard. I'm gonna go down the line and let you guys introduce yourselves. And the first question we always like to talk about, you guys, is the cleaning industry, right? We're here talking about cleaning, and we'll talk about why we're here, but what made you, Jared, we'll start with you first, get into the cleaning industry, and why have you not left yet?
Sure. No, I appreciate it, and thanks for having us, Ricky. This is fun and exciting. Again, Jared Atanasio. I'm the director of the BSC division for Spartan Chemical Company, and I've been in the industry now for 24 years. So you say what got me into it. Going through school, I never kind of thought that I was going to be selling toilet bowl cleaner for a living, right? I don't know if any of us.
Damn good toilet bowl cleaner.
Absolutely. I'm a little biased, but I agree. I was in the advertising industry, and about time when the .com boom happened, I was in print media and quickly realized that nobody's going to advertise in magazines anymore, right? Like once .com started, everything was online. Digital. It all happened so fast. So I said, I need to get into another industry. And had a relative who was in the industry, in the chemical manufacturing industry. And I said, you know what? I'm going to look into that. And back then, I'm a lot older than you are, but I answered an ad in the paper for one of the chemical manufacturers in the industry.
So you found jobs in newspapers?
Yeah, back then we still had newspapers. So answered that ad, went on the interview, and just kind of fell in love with it. It's a great industry. I like to tell people it's almost like as close as you can get to recession proof. And then you ask, how am I still here? It's a funny story. I was in the industry, and I'd been in the industry for about 7 years at this point. And I said, I'm going to try something different. Just for one reason or another, I was traveling a lot. I was getting ready to have my first kid. And I was like, I want a job where I can be local. Don't want to have to travel as much. I was having a kid, and I was like, let's try something else. And I remember there was a gentleman that I was talking to, and he worked for a distributor, a janitorial distributor. And he said, listen, he goes, I've been in this industry for 30 years. He goes, I give you about 6 months, and you're going to be calling me and saying, you want to come back? He goes, it's one of those industries where you just can't get out of it. And I said, yeah, whatever, sure, no problem. So I went to a flooring company and actually was selling flooring. And it was almost 6 months to that day that I called him and said, hey, you got any openings at that J&San distributor? And he said, I knew you'd call. Oh. So it's one of those things where, my mentor, Frank Trevisani, talks about it all the time. It's a big industry, but a small fraternity. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where it really is fun. It is. And like, things like you're doing, like you bring everybody together. We're sitting in rooms with a bunch of different, I'm on the contractor side at Spartan, but we're sitting in a room with a bunch of cleaning contractors that are competitors, but also friends, and they all try to help each other. And that's been a lot of fun. And being at a, family-owned organization like Spartan Chemical that's, best in class has made it even more fun. So to answer your question, that's why I'm still here, and I don't see myself going anywhere else.
I don't think you're going anywhere.
No, I'm here.
Bucky, let's go to you.
Yeah, so I've September 1st, it'll be 10 years for me. So I'm fairly new to the industry. A good friend of mine by the name of Trey Robinson, who works for Spartan Chemical, who's our regional manager in South Carolina, was hired 2 years before me. We worked together at a packaging company, and he's like, kept on telling me, man, you got to come work for this company. They're the best. At the time, got into some pharmaceutical sales. Wasn't in love with it. We talked frequently, and I said, all right, let me know when there's an opening. I'm interested. And went up for the interview. Didn't get the job. Didn't get the next 3 jobs, but persistence pays off.
Yes. Those no's turn into yes.
Yes, yeah. You just wear them down, right, until they say yes. I think we've all done that in some form or fashion. and got hired to work Cincinnati, Ohio. That was my first position as a regional manager. And I was living in Virginia Beach at the time. I could hit a 9-iron off my deck onto the beach. And I'll tell anybody this, the toughest sale in my life was selling my wife that she had to move to Cincinnati, Ohio. Right?
Wow.
And we managed, we got through it. And then there were some other opportunities within the organization. Moved me to South Carolina for a couple years. We had a great regional manager in Atlanta by the name of Mark Blackwell, who unfortunately passed away. I then transitioned over to Atlanta, Georgia, a little bit larger market. And that's kind of really when I started working with contractors on a more frequent basis, right? And kind of understanding their wants and needs, and had a passion for, just helping people out, teaching them, getting them in different verticals. And I think, Jared, you can chime in if you want. I think he noticed that passion. And when he had an opportunity to hire somebody on his team, he chose me, and I have no plans on leaving.
So this is your boss.
That's my boss.
Which I do say, when he first started at Spartan, before he went into that Cincinnati territory, I was one of the folks that trained him. So all his success kind of started here. So I figured, why not let it end here? So
Nice.
no, he does a great job. So we brought him on the BSC team not too long ago.
Nice. Now, Jason, as you guys, we got 2 Spartan people here. It's like, Rick, why do you have, Jason's from Pritchard. I intentionally wanted to have you on because remember, me and you were talking, I'm going to have you and I want the Pritchard story on much later. But I said, why not? You're here with me. And we're here because we're at a Spartan's BSC seminar, which we'll get into later. But Jason, share a little bit about you and your history as a BSC or in the BSC space.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me on, Ricky. It's a pleasure to be here. Cleaning and cocktails, this is the form, correct?
Cocktails are coming after. You will see.
Just for the record, let's just be honest here. It's National Rum Day.
Yeah.
And, well, I can't tell you what's in here, but it's great to be here. Maybe we're already getting a head start. My name is Jason Cohen. I'm the Senior Vice President at Pritchard Industries. We're a leading national facility services provider. We're in over 30 states. We have over 15,000 employees. I've been with Pritchard for about 4 years. I lead the integration of new acquisitions and partnerships across Pritchard, and then various projects, strategic initiatives, digital transformations that we roll out across all of our 30-plus branches. I got into this industry. I've been in private equity consulting, and merger integration is my specialty. I got into this industry through private equity. We were private equity backed. We love our partners, just for the record. And prior to joining Pritchard, I was in the commercial laundry industry for hotels and casinos. And the joke at our house with my wife and with my kids is I went from cleaning linens to cleaning toilets. And so there's no escaping.
This is a parallel move.
Work and life, they intersect. When I go home after this great seminar here at Spartan, I'm going to be cleaning toilets. I'm going to be doing the laundry. And I'm really excited. But thanks for having me on, and I look forward to our conversation. I
appreciate you, Jason. Thank you so much, man. So let's talk about what I was saying, the seminar. So Bucky, Jared, any one of you guys jump in. What for those that are listening and watching, again, remember the audience, for the most part, small to medium-sized contractors. Many may not have had the chance to come here to Spartan, right? Which is the reason why we're putting some of this on, is we want to share that knowledge and share this opportunity with them. Why did Spartan come up with a BSC seminar? What is it? What was the purpose behind it?
I'll kind of speak to it on how we got started with and what we've done, and then Bucky can kind of talk about it coming from most recently from the field. My predecessor, again, Frank Trevisani, he started
Frank the Tank.
He started the BSC program with Spartan Chemical roughly 25 years ago. And, Frank's been on all sides of it, right? He owned a BSC. He got acquired by a bigger BSC. He ran a distribution arm for that BSC at one point, and he was Spartan's largest end user back in that time. And Frank came over to Spartan Chemical to try to build this vertical for Spartan Chemical, was BSC, about 25 years ago. And one of the things that he talked about was education. right? And partnerships. Frank's very big on that. And you talk about it a lot too, right? Like it's not just about, hey, who's got the cheapest glass cleaner, or who's got, the best floor finish, which obviously, again, I'm biased and I think we have it, but it's more about the partnerships, the value adds, like what you bring to each other as a partnership. So one of the things that Frank did is we started out with this seminar, and it started on a smaller scale, and it was more for hands-on. It was, hey, how do we get some folks trained on the processes and the procedures? Have them learn a little bit about our culture when they're here. So we've been hosting this for, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 years. I've been on this team for 7 years now. When I came on board and we were still doing these, it was great, and we had a lot of hands-on experience, and we're taking them back into our training center and, teaching folks that have never scrubbed and waxed floors before on how to do it. And what I started to notice as COVID hit was one thing I wanted to do with this seminar was kind of make it more educational, and also make it more of a networking opportunity for contractors to be together. So we took it from the hands-on version to last year was kind of the first revelation of it. The one prior to that we did online due to COVID, so we did it on online, right? Exactly. Nobody enjoyed that. But now we've gotten it to the point where we bring in different guest speakers from different market verticals to talk about, hey, if you were just cleaning Class A office buildings post-COVID, some of those buildings are either not opened again or maybe at 20 to 30% capacity. So
what's the next move?
Right. Some contractors need to understand, like, hey, how do I get into other market verticals? How do I diversify my portfolio? So the concept that we have now is bringing in different guest speakers from different market verticals, right? Like having someone from the commercial real estate world, having someone from a food processing account, having somebody from the healthcare, from the education side to come in and talk to the contractors about, hey, if you want to get into this market vertical, here's how you get into it. Here's who you need to talk to. Here's the language you need to understand. Because the other thing I think and what COVID taught us is this industry and this specific industry of contract cleaners, we're not just janitors anymore, right? And that's what we all grew up with, right? When we were in school, you had the janitor at your school, probably knew everybody in that school, knew all the kids by first name, you knew that person's name, and that was fantastic. That doesn't happen anymore. And I think what we realized during COVID is this industry is way more important than people understand. And it took almost something like COVID to understand that, because those buildings, they weren't getting open until they were cleaned and sanitized properly. Right? Before they got disinfected and sanitized, you couldn't go in those buildings. Yep. So it kind of put our industry at the forefront, number one. And then number two, it kind of professionalized the industry too, which I think is something we have to continue to do. Yeah. Right? Let people understand that this is a higher level of a profession than maybe the perception was. 100%. So I think that's what we're trying to do with this seminar too, is bring a lot of folks, a lot of like-minded folks like yourself and Jason together and talk about how do we continue that track. Right? How do we make sure that everyone that's not a professional cleaner understands what professional cleaners really do? Oh, yeah. Right? And I think that's important. So that's what we're doing with this seminar. We're getting people here. We also, get to show them the Spartan culture and what it means to be a partnership, right? Our value adds, like our CompuClean system, our Clean Check system, those type of things that we bring to the table, not just giving you the best products, but also the partnership of it. And that's really what we're trying to do with this seminar. And I think probably the best thing out of it is all the networking that the contractors that are here get to see and get to do.
That's what I was going to tell you is like, as I'm sitting and listening and I'm observing and trying to, again, remember I joked with you yesterday is other than Jason or I think Mike and maybe one other Brad Klein, like I know 3 people, right? And there's 50 of us here. And then when I have other events, or like for example, cleaning and cocktails, right? I know everybody. I know the smaller contractors. That is a community I've been building. I come here, it's another community, right? You go to ISSA, the expo, the big show, a whole nother community. So it's like this is a nice bridge to continue to, so I appreciate what you guys are doing with this, right? Again, my first time here. Jason, is this your first?
This is my second back to back.
Okay.
Yeah. And just for the record, it was Jared's birthday yesterday, so I think he left that out. Another reason he wants to have a big birthday party every year around this time.
Exactly.
So I couldn't miss this birthday celebration.
So how did you, but like Jason, from a BSC perspective, you coming here, like, have you ever seen something like this for yourself where you get to go into a facility? Because we're going to talk about the facility next, but how does it feel to be exposed to this side?
Oh, it's great to see the behind the scenes and where the products are being made. Everyone here has been here for 20, 30, 40 years. And just to see the magic behind what goes into making all these products is excellent. I went by myself last year. I brought my 2 other teammates this year, in addition to just myself, because I wanted them to experience, to see, the secret sauce behind Spartan and how great they are, but also from the networking standpoint too. There's so much value in meeting others, sharing best practices, and they've had a great almost day and another day ahead.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, so, well, networking, right? You said it. So Bucky, like, you're sitting here, meeting some new contractors that you may never have met,
yeah.
right? Again, we get to network as well, right, Jason? But like you guys, the industry is big, right? It's bigger than we all think.
Oh, yeah.
I always am amazed. Again, I know 10% of the people here, right? And it's my job to get to know everybody. So it was awesome to feel that because I get to make new relationships. But what does that do for you to know, again, to meet new contractors, not looking at them as customers, but part of your community and an environment to grow and learn from?
Well, we got people coming from coast to coast. So the different perspectives from somebody that's on the West Coast versus East Coast, they just bring a lot of different things to the table. It's nice to be able to have people and get them kind of outside, their corporate office or, having to do tasks in the field, right? Get them up here. I think people get a little bit more relaxed. The networking's been great. You mentioned earlier, though, you talked about, it is somewhat limited. We can't have hundreds of people up here. Unfortunately, we'd love to. So some of those smaller contractors, just keep in mind that they always have access to our local regional managers. And one thing that Spartan's done recently is we're adding more feet on the street, so to speak. So just in the past 2 years, where other companies have, pulled back, had layoffs, Spartan's invested. And that's one thing we'll continue to do. So I want to say, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, but over the past year and a half, we've added 5 more regional managers to the field. So our goal at Spartan is to have that networking. Obviously, events are great, but not everybody can get to them, right? I mean, due to responsibilities, costs, things like that. So for some of the smaller contractors out there, I'd say please reach out to the local Spartan regional manager in your area and do some local networking as well. I mean, that's what it's all about.
We may or may not be helping making that connection. I'll leave it there. But to get back onto the facility though, but I almost did a shameless plug there, but I'm not gonna do it. So the facility, you guys, like, again, it was funny. Like, I had some team last year that came here to the event, and they were like, "Just Rick, wait till you get to the training facility." I'm like, "All right, I haven't seen it yet. Hold on." Like, they've texted me like 3 times. Like, we're going now, just so you know. But it's like not that we're nerds or geeking out on it, but like that is the epitome of a training facility. Like,
sure.
You would love to have that in every city, right? Like every region where your team can be trained hands-on, right? You don't get that luxury. A lot of us in the cleaning space, Jason, I don't know about you, but like, especially the smaller contractors, but Pritchard probably has to deal with this too, is new accounts, starting up new accounts. Like a lot of our technicians and a lot of the audience that's listening too, as they're building their companies, we don't get the luxury to train in a facility. Like, you're training on site. You start that new account, that's your first day of training sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though I hate to say it, I would love
Sure.
that. But it felt like whoever built that facility or built this compound knew they were going to be hosting people and events and bringing people. Is that like the vision behind why you guys
absolutely. And that's what I think is a little bit different in this industry with Spartan, is the culture of it, is we are truly Jansan folks, right? Like that's what we do. We do it very well. But yeah, we've got a gentleman, John Schaff, who's our national trainer. And I'll tell you, during COVID, because, we had to bring in, raw materials from here and raw materials, and we're trying to get everything. So, because everybody knows there was a lot of supply chain issues. Well, during that time, we weren't using the training center, obviously, because we couldn't bring people in. But so we used it for storage and we used it for forklifts. And so we tore it apart. And one of the neat things about it was the ownership here, John and Steve Swaggart said to John Schaff, "Hey, you know what? You're starting with a blank page now. design this training center. So John was able to come up with, hey, here's what I want it to look like. Because we had an incredible training center prior to that, but after we tore it up, we were able to update some things. So he was able to look at it.
So this is recently updated.
Yeah, this is just recently updated.
Oh, okay.
And what's neat is, and you say about on-the-job training, I mean, that's what most contractors have to do, right? You hire somebody, if they're not from the industry, you got to teach them how to strip and wax floors on site, at the site, right? Yeah. What John always says is, he goes, this is 60,000 square feet of you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
Because if you scratch a floor or ruin something back there, we'll fix it. But if you do that at your customer, that's a different story. You put a swing machine through a wall at your customer, you got problems, right? Where, I've done it. I've done it twice.
By the way, it's got to be state of the art, because most people don't know how beautiful Maumee, Ohio really is until you get here. Until you fly into Detroit and drive an hour to Maumee, Ohio. But once you get here, wow, is it pristine?
It's not on too many people's bucket list, but it is.
I'm checking it off mine. Yeah, it's all checked out.
But it is. It's fantastic, and that's the idea. Is that training center, we use it for when we train like the new regional managers that come into Spartan. But I'll tell you, I mean, I live in North Carolina, and I'm in Maumee, Ohio, at least once a month, if not 3 times a month, because we're bringing customers and contractors in here to use the training facility to train their people, right? Hey, bring them in here and let's get them trained on the processes. Yeah, they're going to learn about Spartan, and they're going to see some, Spartan products, because that's what we use when we do the training. But it's more about the procedures, right? And we've got gym floors back there. We've got carpet. We've got mock restrooms. We've got a mock food process. So we've got everything back there
shots.
that you can utilize.
So is John the guy I have to talk to for the blueprints?
Yes.
Because I'm copying and pasting.
And Jared, it's a great. You brought up a great point earlier about the different verticals, and Pritchard's in various different verticals, from commercial office buildings to education to medical office buildings to airports, you name it. And you come to this facility, and you can, really apply to any vertical that you're either trying to get into or to grow. Yeah. So it covers all bases.
Yeah. Valuable.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I got a call from John Schaff, and he said, hey, with your background and some people, do you know where I can get a hospital bed? And I'm like, well, that's not the phone call you want to get from somebody. I'm like, you okay? And he was like, oh yeah, I just need it for the training center. So we have like a mock hospital room back there, right? So we really try to make it like the environment that you're going to come across, like you said at Pritchard. And then that way you can train on those procedures and understand what it's all about. So absolutely, that was the mindset behind building that training center.
Nice. Well, let's keep talking about not just the facility, but the people that work in the facility, right? So I think, Bucky, you could take this one if you want.
Sure.
But, and then Jason, I'll have you follow back on why I feel this is important, right? For us as customers or partners. So Bucky, you guys, I think I said 1, 2, 3. I heard 3 different stories of people moving up the ranks, especially the gentlemen that were walking us through the plant, right? Sure.
Yeah,
so I was impressed with, people talk about culture, but you could feel the culture here, not just by photos and things like that. But again, these guys were on the production line, and now they're plant managers. Now they're, executive vice president.
Right.
Is that normal here, that people are here and they stay?
100%. We like to hire within and move up the ranks. That's a big focus. At least that's the way I see it. And that's one thing that drew me to Spartan. And I since have had several promotions as well. And if you're doing a good job, they see it, they recognize it. Not all companies do that. I don't know what's in the water up here, but everybody's super friendly. And it's like it really is. It's a family environment. They care. There's situations where there's natural disasters in a regional manager's area, and our ownership makes sure everybody's okay, has what they need. I mean, to care to that level, right? Great company. We've got gentlemen that have worked in the plant for 47 years, 35 years. Yeah. I mean, the longevity back there is just something else.
So, Jason, how important is that for you to hear that?
Oh, right? Absolutely. And you see it. And during the tour earlier today, I think it was Don who was talking about turnover at Spartan, no more than 1 person a year, if that, which really tells you.
It's amazing for the cleaning industry.
That's right. And mind you, when we're looking at our vendor partners, price is very important, but that's not the only thing. It's price, it's service, reliability, responsiveness. and training. And it only takes a couple minutes to know about this unique culture at Spartan. And these are people you want to do business with. And that's the way we operate at Pritchard as well. Even the companies, the partners that we bring on through acquisitions, it has to be, it's not all about price. It has to be the right culture, the right fit, and having those values aligned is so important.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Right. We'll be back in a couple minutes, but I'm actually going to pick back up on culture because I think that is an important piece. But now I want to bring it back to everybody and talk on how we can share what we're learning through and what you guys are all learning through for, again, the small business owner, the ones that are coming up, try to build that first line of middle management, because that's where a lot of us struggle, right? So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to talk about more of culture, guys.
We know managing a commercial cleaning company can be overwhelming. And let's not forget about managing your inventory and supplies. It's not an easy task to ensure you have everything you need to keep your operation running smoothly. That's why we're here, to help you take control of your business so you can do what you do best. Managing your business. Introducing Route Pulse, our innovative software designed specifically for commercial cleaning companies. We give you access to your data in real time to unlock the pulse of your business. With Route Pulse, you can streamline your operations, optimize your resources, and grow your business like never before. Join the Route Network today and supercharge your business. Discover the pulse of your business. Visit GetRoute.com or click the link below and schedule a demo. And let Route power your success.
All right, we're back. So remember, before we went on break, I did say we were going to pick right back up on culture. And Jason, I wanted to lead this back to you again, so you a lot of acquisitions, a lot of moving pieces on Pritchard, right? When you guys are acquiring companies, and the same for you guys when you guys are moving people up through the ranks. I'm going to lead with Jason first, but then you guys pick back up. Is what advice can you give to the smaller cleaning professionals that they're trying to make that move, right? They're hitting $1 million in revenue. They're trying to get to 2. They're adding their first ops manager. They're adding their first HR. Like, these are roles that, I know I wasn't used to when I first grew my company. But what is it when you get to the level of the size that these organizations are? What are some advice that you can give for building culture or building a company that people want to come work for?
Yeah, I mean, I specialize in change management, whether we're bringing new companies into the Pritchard family or we're trying to change processes or systems throughout Pritchard. And so one of the things you have to just be open to is change and saying yes. There was a gentleman that spoke earlier today during the Spartan seminar about saying yes and not just relying on no as the default answer. And so that's something that we work on within Pritchard, is saying yes. We've been doing things for a while. That's not why we do things. There's got to be a better way, and let's talk about it within our Pritchard network. We've added 15 companies over the past 3 years. So we've got a nice network within Pritchard, but not only that, utilizing this network outside of Pritchard, coming to these events where you can really learn from companies of all sizes. Companies that are small, that are middle size, and some of the large ones as well, like Pritchard and your company. And so being open to that and sharing the best practices, because everyone's been through various stages, and learning from each other, asking the questions is so important.
Yeah, so think about that too, is that's a different perspective that I actually think people should realize is it almost feels like you as Pritchard are going through this over and over again when you're acquiring some of these companies. Like, they've got a mindset that they've got a market that they're in, but yet now they're part of your family. So it's almost like it's always happening.
Absolutely. And some of the companies that we're partnering with, some of them already use Spartan. Some of them don't and haven't had much experience with Spartan. So it's partnering, with the Spartan reps. Bucky talked about the local reps and getting to know those local reps and introducing them to the new partners at Pritchard. It's all about the education process and making sure they're aware of what else is out there from the norms.
So Bucky, what is in the water here in the Spartan office?
Well, I'd like to talk about this. We talked about partnership, and for those smaller contractors, I think it is so important to find good local partners. We didn't really touch on a lot of distribution, right? Mm-hmm. Which plays a major role for us as Spartan Chemical, obviously Pritchard as well, right? You've got to have those distributor partners that can help you out. They can make and break you, in some cases, right? Especially with startups. You touched on startups, and with lead times on equipment and things of that nature. You've got to have an educated partner, and you got to have that open communication. And I think once you build that and you have a good foundation and a good partnership, a lot of doors open.
Yeah.
It's not easy to build trust overnight.
No.
You have to build that trust. And by the way, material spend, chemical spend is only a small, you know this, Ricky.
Small percentage.
It's only a small percentage.
But it
We're
matters.
focused on labor. So how does the material spend, how does the spend within Spartan impact labor, our biggest expense? And how does it not create any issues with managing our relationships with our customers, our other key stakeholders, not be a distraction but to be an advantage for us going forward.
Yep. So, Jared, back on the water part, right? So culture,
Yes.
right? Like, because those are great points as partnerships. And I'm going to come back to that actually, because I again, people may hear, you guys hear it all the time when I say how important partnerships are with your supplier, your distributor, your manufacturer, your other fellow contractors. So I actually have a point to end with those, but the culture piece again, like again, the business, you guys have done something here, right? Where people love to stay working here. So any pieces of advice that when you're conducting meetings, when leadership comes in, like, is there certain practices you guys are engaged with that you feel is leading to retention?
Yeah, you know what I think it is, and Bucky kind of touched on it. I mean, we're at if I get this right, we're third generation here at Spartan, right? The Swaggart family that started Spartan Chemical is still running Spartan Chemical.
So it's swagger,
Yeah.
swag.
That's right.
So they
With
got the
swag.
swag.
That's right. But what's incredible about it is what they built as far as the culture and taking care of people, right? Steve Swaggart always says, if you don't want to be in the people business, go buy a gas station, right? Like he said it's about people, right? I mean, it's about people, and it's about taking right. Yeah, it's taking care of the people that are here, letting the people do what they do best, right? Like, so, I mean, like when we talk about it and we're in our management meeting, it's, everybody's involved. So we have our management meeting. It's not just our senior vice president levels. It's, the directors that were there, the vice presidents are there, and we're all talking about, hey, how do we do this together? How do we do it better? How do we help our partners as far as our BSCs? How do we work better with our distributor partners? Because like Bucky said, without distributors in this marketplace, I mean, that's how we get our products to the field.
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Jared. So, communication's key, right? And we're not a 9-to-5 company. Right.
True.
Our regional managers, they're out there, they're doing midnight demos. They're doing hands-on training, middle of the night, right? 2 a.m., whatever. Then have to wake up and make a sales call at 9 a.m. So when you speak about culture, it's to fit our culture, you're always on, And unfortunately, sometimes there's some sacrifices that happen because of that, but it also makes us who we are. If you call a Spartan representative, we're going to answer the phone. We don't get you the answer you need. We're going to get somebody who can give you the answer, right? And quickly. It's just, it's simple things, answering the phone.
Yeah.
But this day and age, it just seems like a lot of people don't get back to you.
No, yeah, for sure. So So Bucky, well, actually, this is a point for all three of you guys, right? Because again, your organizations are in the later, bigger stages of an organization. I would ask, not as a challenge, but as an ask, like, would you guys be able to speak on leadership, right? Like if there was something for us next year, right? Or another session and seminar is, I hear a lot of business owners that want to learn more about leadership, right? And bring their manager to not just talk about industry. Like, right, I have a great ops manager right now that he actually reached out to me to say, Rick, I love the industry. I love the business, but I want to learn more about business. I want to learn more about building a team, managing a team, right? Leading a team.
Sure.
Like that would be awesome to put something together for Spartan, right? To put something together, right? Jason, you have Pritchard, like, because again, you guys are around the corner, ahead over here, seeing this. You've ran into certain situations that we may not have ran into as smaller businesses.
Sure.
Right.
So that would be cool, right? To see something put together like that, because we can touch, talk, and grow with you guys. And that's, no offense to other stuff that's out there in the market, but leadership is important, but I think leadership in business is important still somewhat from our industry.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And I think a couple things on that. So we do this seminar for our BSC partners, and then we've got several seminars that we do for like our distributor partners. So when they bring in new distributor reps or hire new distributor reps, we do that several times throughout the year, and we call it a Jay and Sand seminar. And one of the things that we do there is our Vice President of Sales, Brian Mangum, he'll come in and he'll do a session on kind of like sales leadership. Like, great, we've taught you all about Spartan. We've taught you about our culture. We've taught you about the procedures, the lingo in the industry. Now, how do you take that to the next level on just selling and building relationships? And he does a great segment on that. We also do a thing at the end of every year, we have our general sales meeting where we bring in all the sales folks from all over the country here to Maumee, Ohio, and we do kind of our end of the year. And with that, it's not about, when we do that, we're not just going over the numbers and saying, hey, where do we do at the end of this year? It's how do we all get better? And a lot of our sessions that we do are talking about how do we get better in the field? How do we respond better to our customers? How do we make our value proposition better than everybody else in the industry? And it's with the people, right? It's the people, the culture, because you're right. And I'll bring up this point. Frank and I were one time in front of a BSC. And he said to us, because, we're talking about, everyone talks about price, right? Like, how do you give us a better cost? How do you give us a better price? And he said to us, to your point earlier, Jason, he said to us, if you saving me money is a finite number. Helping me make money is an infinite number.
Who told you?
It was a contractor. Remember
his name?
I didn't want to give you who it was, but
I think I might have said that too. I'm just saying.
You might have said that.
That's I love that.
But
don't say it, but just make eye contact with who
I won't say who
that.
it was, but to me that really stuck with me because what that's saying is, one, to your point, chemistry is 1% of your cost, right? It's more about labor, but it's about partnerships. So if we can help a partner grow their business, that's more impactful than anything.
God. Way
right?
more
and
impactful.
To your point about how do we get those folks, like, I love what you did, and I'll give you the plug. At Cleaning and Cocktails this past year, you brought in contractors that were bigger than everybody else in that room. And you had them on stage, and you had them talking about, hey, at one point, I was your size, right? Like Karen and Frank and Jason Lee and some of those folks that were there, they talked about, hey, I started where you guys were. Now I'm here. How did you get to that point? And to me, that was impactful part of that because, like you said, some people just don't know how to get to that next level. Mm-hmm. And having somebody that's done it before or talk about their leadership, not just how do you win business, but how do you size up your company? How do you get it to that place?
Winning is half the battle. Like
right.
You have many times people will win business and say, all right, cool, now I'm done. Now I have to manage it. It's like, oh, you got to do both.
Right.
You got to be winning and managing your business.
Because you're always going to lose sales, right? And that's why I like when we call it a partnership, right? Because it's a lot harder to lose a partnership. If you're just selling and you're just giving somebody
transactional.
That's all it is. But when you build a partnership and a relationship, it's a lot harder to get out of those because, you don't want to. Yeah. You can count on that person. And like Bucky said, when people call, the Spartan folks, they react. They do what they say they're going to do. And that's what we've built this on is, we're there for you as a partner. Right. And along the way, you're going to buy some of our great bulk cleaner, like you mentioned.
Small contractors become medium-sized contractors, which then become large contractors, which then maybe Pritchard potentially buys. I don't know.
Right.
But, the goal is to help the small guys and gals out there. And if, like we talked about earlier, if we can teach them a new skill set, right? A lot of small contractors avoid floor care, right? But if we can teach them how to do floor care, think of that revenue stream they're able to keep.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, it's another barrier that they put up, that they're not letting another contractor come in there and potentially, start building a relationship with their existing customer. So, we're very focused on all contractors. But it's funny, as I've been on the contractor side specifically over the past 3 years, to listen, if you ask some questions, listen to some of the stories like you did last night where you said, well, Jimmy Miller came in and he showed me how to strip and wax a floor and I'll never forget it. And that's why I'm loyal to Jimmy,
I still met Jim early on and he's introduced me to Frank. And again, these are guys that literally the first professionals I met in the industry and I still talk to them to this day, but this segues right into the question. You guys already have been both answering it, but maybe I'll go to you then, Jason, is what else do you think, again, not just Spartan, but any partner that we deal with on the manufacturing and supplier side, how else can they add value other than saving us money, right? Like what are other areas they can add value?
Yeah, and from a leadership standpoint, that was one of the questions you asked
Yes.
before.
Yes.
I want to make sure that we touch on that because at Pritchard, within our executive leadership team, within all of our regions and our branches, including our friends at Affinico, one of our more recent partners over the past couple of years with Paul Senecal and Michael Diamond, is the importance of recognition and making sure that as we continue to grow, that we're taking all of our key stakeholders with us along that way up. There was a book I was reading earlier this summer called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in Business. Now, my wife's a marriage and family therapist, and the first book was the 5 Languages of Love. Same author, he just applied it to business.
Yeah.
And there's some people that like to be recognized through a gift, bringing in bagels and donuts like they do at Spartan every Wednesday and Friday. I picked up earlier today. Or even having a gym, a facility where you can use a treadmill in your breaks.
Things that are not monetary, right?
Not monetary. Or even spending time together. That's another language of appreciation, and making sure that for each individual, each partner you come in touch with, you understand what gets them going. What do they value the most? And then helping them along the way and supporting them in that effort. So we're really intentional about recognizing people, bringing them along the way as we continue to grow.
Nice. Well, to the value add part. So I'm actually going to throw a comment in because, again, we were just talking about it. I think we should elaborate a little more, but we were talking, again, saving us money as BSCs is great. Don't get me, don't get it twisted.
Sure.
It works. It helps. But business, adding dollars, right? Adding new revenue, because everybody always worries about, don't get me wrong, people are the most important part of our business, but you cannot hire talent or more people if you're not winning business, right?
True.
So let's dig deeper on that, because I think that could be a whole session on, because especially like a Spartan, you may be exposed to an RFP or an opportunity in an area that we may not even know as BSCs, new construction, a new development, or a new turnover. You guys are coming in as the supplier. How can we open up that line of communication where it's like, again, not all the big guys can't win everything, right? But how do we share the knowledge and the opportunities? But at the same time, we got to be vetted and we have to be qualified. Sure. But is that something you're thinking about? Like sharing contract opportunities in some form or way?
Yeah, I think, and I'll talk a little bit about it, but I think Bucky's got a real good hold on it because he's most recently in the field. But
Bucky, you got my cell phone and my you gonna send those out?
But that's it, right? I mean, it comes back to the partnership board, right? If we've got, because what's nice at Spartan is we've got so many verticals, right? So we've got the BSC vertical where there's gentlemen like myself that run our food processing division. We've got some folks that run our laundry division. But what we're starting to see, and why I like the BSC division, is a lot of it comes back to professional cleaners. So we're getting calls all the time, like from the FP guys from the food side saying, hey, listen, I've got this big factory that's making tortilla chips. They aren't professional cleaners, right? The folks that are packing the boxes all day are responsible to clean up their stations at the end of the day. And sometimes they're skipping steps, right? Like they want to go home.
I want to get out.
They want to get out. Yeah. So now they're starting to realize, hey, we need professional cleaners. So they're calling us because we're tied into that market vertical and said, hey, who do you know? So when the FP guys call us and say, hey, who's somebody good that can handle this area or this region? And then, we go to our partners, the people that we can trust, right? Because one thing, if I'm going to call you and say, hey, Ricky, listen, I got this great opportunity. They need you to clean, 7 nights a week. You're going to need 7 FTEs. Like, is this something you're interested in? You say, yeah, I need to know that,
I could deliver.
You're going to, we're putting our name behind it. One, you're going to use the Spartan products. And two, that, when you go in there, you do a good job. So it's got to be people that we trust, that we know. So that's part of that partnership. And I think that's something that we do a little bit better than everybody else because we are integrated into so many of these different market verticals and we build partnerships. I mean, Frank's been the best at it. Like you said, you met Jimmy and Frank years ago and you're still talking to him. We're still doing things like this. Yeah. And that's what I think Spartan does a really good job of, is bringing our partners along, like you said. And the other thing is too, is it's all about labor, right? I mean, none of us have
60%
enough
of
people in
our,
the cleaning industry. So there's going to be times where maybe Jason calls and say, hey, listen, we picked up a ton of new business, but in Omaha, we don't have any people. Do you know anybody that I can call and say, hey, you know what? Can we sub out some of that business in Omaha or Anchorage, right? Like in Alaska, we don't have any people. So
well, that's why we're going to use Route Marketplace.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. That's when I call you and say, Ricky, how do I get into that?
Yeah.
But even from a training standpoint, using CleanCheck, and we don't have CleanCheck at some of our other vendors. We don't have it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And having that training platform where our employees can get certificates in different verticals that we may not have exposure to, but we want to get into. Well, how do we get into those verticals? This is a great starting
Great
point.
in validation, right? Yeah, in certain aspects.
Consistency on the training, right? Because and that helps on all aspects of it. But you got to know that people are properly trained on the procedures, right? And that's what it's all about. Because if you're not doing it the right way, it's going to take you more time and it's going to cost you more money, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, labor is the biggest part of what you guys do.
It is.
So if you do it wrong the first time, you get a call back. They're probably not going to pay you for that callback, right? But they still want the job done.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And our focus at Pritchard, our number one priority is taking care of our employees. If we take care of our employees are going to take care of our customers, and we're going to retain our existing customers. And if we retain our existing customers, we'll be able to open doors to new customers. And that's something that we talk about a lot together with Jared, with Bucky, with Bill, with Frank, the rest of the team, is how do we grow our business together, taking care of our employees, providing them with the support they need to take care of our existing customers and future customers.
Yep. So as we come to an end, guys, right? We could talk for days, but we do have to get back to where
This is great, by
this
the
is
way.
good.
This is a lot of fun.
I wanted to, before I say, give the thanks for, allowing us. You guys open the doors for us to come in here for people like me and Jason. And again, we're coming from all over the country. You could say, yeah, we're competitors, but I look at it as we're connecting, we're collaborating, and we're figuring out how to work with each other, right? And that is, in my eyes, the future of this industry. And we're also getting a sneak peek of some stuff that you guys got going on back here. Not that I want to elaborate too much.
You are.
Jared, are you excited about what we got coming here?
I am. I'm really excited about what we've got. Like you said, you can kind of see it in there, and it's a little bit of a sneak peek. There's some more to come, but innovation and technology is really where I think we've excelled in this marketplace, in this industry, is we've got some new neat things that are coming out and kind of revolutionary, I think. And in some cases, it's something that's been out, and we just made it better. So there's a little bit of that too. So I think there's some things that you're going to see coming up in the next several months, and look for us at ISSA. There's going to be some new things we're going to launch at that point, but a lot of new things coming down, and I think it's going to be exciting and fun, and it's just going to make it better for our partners for us all to grow together, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you, man. Well, you guys, you heard it say ISSA, so I wanted to touch on. So I'll have a special code for everybody. If you have never been to ISSA, I have a code for you to go to the ISSA show for free for the first time because we want more and more contractors going there. So you'll see that in the description below. But before we wrap up, before we leave, we may or may not have a Cleaning and Cocktails here next year. Look out for the date because, again, I was blown away by what you guys have here at the facility. I think this needs to be shown to others. I think others need to experience what it is to come to a facility like this because, Jason, me coming from a smaller cleaning company and growing, you coming into this bigger size contractor, you could agree, we're always learning, right? This is always good. Look, you brought people back after you've already been here. I will be back next year, and I think it's super cool. Very appreciative. Thank you guys for allowing us to come in here, take up some time, and learn.
I might add, yes, you mentioned the ISSA in Las Vegas in November. Just a little plug for the two of us. If you want to hear more from Ricky and myself, we're going to be speakers on panels at the BSCAI, which is in conjunction with the ISSA.
Correct.
So if you want more, we'll see you out in Las Vegas.
And that, to my other point, I got to connect with Jason and Chris, but there's also a code I will have for BSCI attendees coming for the first time as well. So again, it's cool that those organizations are trying to open up the doors because I'll tell you, it changed my life going there because that's where I met a lot of you guys is at these shows. So again, there's so much more room to grow, but I thank you all, Jared, Jason, Bucky.
Thank you.
Till next one, Thank you guys. Cheers. I know we got waters,
Yeah.
but I told you we're going to be drinking a shot, all four of us,
Oh,
later
yeah.
on. You'll catch it. We'll throw it on the episode. But thank you again. I appreciate it. Everybody watching, until next time. Hey, Cleaning and Cocktails family. Remember I said back at the headquarters we couldn't take the drinks, but we're here because it's called Cleaning and Cocktails. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Salute.